Hello, I'm joined today with Tom from Atelier Brown. He is an architect. He specialises in historical buildings.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about how you got into architect.
My dad's a builder.
Okay.
Both my granddads are builders, or were builders, sorry. So it's always kind of been in the blood. But I was always the sort of creative one of the family. So it was a kind of a combination of being quite practical, but being creative, and it's a job that suits those skills probably. So yeah.
And for any sort of people aspiring to get into architect, what sort of routes would you say they could take?
Yeah, I mean,
What's your advice?
It's pretty formal the way you have to get to be sort of chartered architect. You've got to be prepared to be in university for a long time. From start to finish, I was there for 8 years.
Okay.
Some people are much longer. It depends. You basically do, in the middle of your formal education, you do sort of apprenticeships and training and work in placements. And some people stay in placement for 2, 3, 4 years. I wanted to get it done as quickly as I could, so I had a year and a half in practice and then went back to do the last bits. But that's the first thing. People just need to be kind of prepared to lose their sort of early 20s to university, which has its positives as well.
But worth it in the end.
Yeah, exactly. So it takes a lot of hard work for sure, and you need to be kind of focused on it as a vocational thing as well as a job, really.
Yes.
You need to enjoy it and be passionate about it, I think.
Absolutely. And how did you start your apprenticeship or work placement?
So it was a bit of a random one for me. I was living in a student house and the landlord happened to be an architect. I didn't know that when we moved in with my friends. I was living with other people that weren't architects. They were people that I lived in halls with. And when I got to the point after third year that I needed to find a placement, my landlord helpfully offered to work in his company. It was in the middle of, or towards the end of a recession.
Okay.
So there was a little bit of a shortage of work, so I was very lucky. I was based in Manchester at that point, so I worked at their office there, and they had another practice office down in Welling in Hertfordshire, and then I transferred down to there, which is nearer where I'm from. And carried on there, and then went back to uni, and then after that was offered a proper job with them, worked there for a couple of years, and then moved around a little bit. And then set my own place up a few years ago. So yeah.
Okay, that's fantastic. And for sort of the young people starting out, would you suggest they approach companies to see if they've got any work placements or any sort of apprenticeships on offer? Just go out there and...
I think the nature of architecture is that it's a really busy, well, any construction job, it's a really busy industry. So being somebody that is quite obviously enthusiastic goes a long way, I think. So in that vein, I think approaching companies and sort of really going for it, I think is actually a positive thing. It doesn't come across as if you're sort of desperate for work, or I think that's what people, employers would want to see. My company's a little bit small to be taking on people, but one day I will be. And that's the type of attitude you want, because it's a fast-paced industry. People need to be working hard and be really passionate about what they're doing. So first impressions are kind of important, aren't they?
Absolutely. So you talked about the types of courses you've done. Can you give us a little bit more information about what they were called, where you did them?
So specifically to become an architect, you need to be chartered. So it is quite a rigid route that you take. It starts off with an undergraduate degree like any other degree in architecture. That's the course name. I did mine up in Manchester. And then following your undergraduate, you get a period of time where you can do your work placement. You remain registered with your university that you were at. So they keep a record of what you're up to, and you have to kind of log your time and activities and things like that. You do that for as many years as you want, that placement. It's minimum a year, or it certainly was when I did it. And then you then go back to university to do a postgraduate diploma. That's a 2-year course. It's much more intense, I would say. Much less kind of conceptual and much more focused on specialisms, really. You do that for 2 years. I did mine at the CAS in central London. And then once you've done that, you can then return to work placement, or you can take your professional qualification exams, which is a course that usually lasts a year, where while you're working, you come in and attend lectures, seminars and things. You provide a case study of a project that you're doing in practice and record all of the things that you need to record to kind of pass the exam. You have an interview at the end of it, and you have a series of written exams as well. I'd say the way to describe the 3 university parts are, the first part is quite conceptual. You're learning, there's so much to architecture to learn. You can be into the more historical side, the real creative, artistic side. You can be into the kind of computer generated side, but you get the opportunity to do all of that in your undergrad. When you're doing your postgrad diploma, that's more focused on what you know that you like, so you specialise a little bit more. And then the final thing is the real dry, nitty-gritty legal side of owning a practice, administering building contracts, all of that side of things. So you get a real range of education, but because it's so long, you do need to be kind of passionate about it and stay determined. So yeah, that was the route. It's, as far as I know, unless you want to be sort of an architectural technician or technologist, to be a professional architect, there's only kind of one route that you can take, and that's kind of it, really.
So Tom, what do you like most about what you do at the moment, and what kept you, you said obviously you have to be passionate and committed, what kept you going through those years?
I think there's a few things. I think this is something that I've learned more from being in practice rather than in education, is the relationships you get with people. You're working with lots of different stakeholders on projects, whether it's engineers, the clients themselves, the builders that you end up working with. And I do like engaging with all of those people. I like solving problems. I like being part of a team. I'm quite into my sport, so being part of a team is something that I really enjoy. The artistic side is my real passion. You know, if it would pay well enough, I would have wanted to be a painter or an artist or something like that. So it is a job that when you're in the studio, either collaboratively or on your own, you do get to be really creative, which is really nice. And it's a job that's very varied as well. I've decided to, through one of the practices that I ended up working with, to specialise in kind of contemporary work on listed and older properties. It's something I'm really passionate about, but I can just as much imagine being really passionate about high-tech skyscraper design and that sort of thing. So it's really varied, and it's something that keeps my attention and excitement as I come into work, really.
I hope that has helped anybody out there that is looking to go into architecture. As you can hear from Tom, there is one direct route mainly to get into it, but you can specialise in all different areas according to your passions. Just keep at it, keep working hard, and I hope this has helped. Thank you, Tom, for joining us.
No worries.